Hello, everybody. We're looking forward very much to talking with you today about this next course.
Welcome to Course 4, and our theme is investing wisely in your relationships. And this is the beginning of your second year, so congratulations on that. In year 1, it's all about you, and in year 2, it's all about everyone around you. Leaders must pay fierce attention to the relationships because everything is actually built on them. So, who is around you? What do they bring to the table? What are their values and strengths that really motivate them? How can you help them be their best? It's what we like to call armor bearer leadership.
One day, Jonathan said to his armor bearer, "Come on, let's go over to where the Philistines have their outpost." Now, just to let you know, Jonathan was the son of the King Saul. So he was like next in line. This is royal leadership here.
Mm.
And he had an armor bearer. And he said, "Hey, let's go see where the Philistines have their outpost." But Jonathan did not tell his father, Saul, what he was doing. Meanwhile, Saul and his 600 men were camped on the outskirts of Gibeah, around the pomegranate tree at Migron. Among Saul's men was Ahijah the priest, who was wearing the ephod, the priestly vest. Ahijah was the son of Ichabod's brother, Ahitub, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, the priest of the Lord who had served at Shiloh. No one realized that Jonathan had left the camp. To reach the Philistine outpost, Jonathan had to go down between two rocky cliffs that were called Bozez and Seneh. The cliff on the north was in front of Michmash, and the one on the south was in front of Geba. By the way, folks, when I studied in Israel, we actually went to that valley. These are major cliffs here. You talk about a scary climb down and up. Wow, I mean, these guys were pretty brave. So Jonathan says, "Hey, let's go across to the outpost and those pagans," Jonathan said to his armor bearer. "Perhaps the Lord will help us, for nothing can hinder the Lord. He can win a battle, whether he has many warriors or only a few." "Do what you think is best," the armor bearer replied. "I'm with you completely, whatever you decide." "All right, then," Jonathan told him. "We will cross over and let them see us. If they say to us, 'Stay where you are or we'll kill you,' then we will stop and not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come on up and fight,' then we will go up. That will be the Lord's sign that he will help us defeat them." When the Philistines saw them coming, they shouted, "Look, the Hebrews are crawling out of their holes." And then the men from the outpost shouted to Jonathan, "Come on up here. We'll teach you a lesson." "Come on, climb right behind me," Jonathan said to his armor bearer, "for the Lord will help us defeat them." So they climbed up using both hands and feet. And yes, you would have to. This is like a really steep cliff.
Hmm.
And the Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer killed those who came behind them. They killed some 20 men in all, and their bodies were scattered over about half an acre. Suddenly, panic broke out in the Philistine army, both in the camp and in the field, including even the outposts and raiding parties. And just then, an earthquake struck, and everyone was terrified. That's quite the story, John.
Yeah, it is a story. It has everything, right?
Yeah,
Vision and leadership and bravery and courage and um, battles.
yeah,
And the reason why we want to read that and just really kind of dig into it a little bit is because everyone would most likely identify Jonathan as the leader in this story, right? He has the vision, the dream, and he says, "Let's go for it." But I believe there are two leaders in this story.
yes,
If you consider leadership as influence, They'd have two very different leadership styles, but bound together in one strong relationship, and it forms a very effective and powerful unit. That's the potential when people bond and work together. The strength of our relationship is vital to the strength of our leadership. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this whole course. So, yeah, glad you're with us, and it's going to be a great adventure.
Yeah, John, that's a great story because Jonathan could not have done this without his armor bearer.
Hmm.
The armor bearer wouldn't have dared to do it without Jonathan.
Yeah.
And you put them together, man, awesome.
Yeah. And sometimes you lead up, right?
Yeah.
As far as who had the authority, it was probably Jonathan, but the armor bearer led up. And we
Yes.
don't even know his name,
Yeah.
but we know what he did
Yeah.
and how brave he was and how he influenced and empowered Jonathan to pursue what he had on his mind. It's brilliant.
It's a great story.
So let's come back to this course and see what's ahead. We're going to talk to you about leading teams. And I know this is something that's very important and of interest to a lot of you. It's maybe one of the themes that you're kind of looking forward to, because a lot of us appreciate and need to work in teams. So we're going to use another assessment that you've already done, but it's called Leading from Your Strengths. And we're going to help you do that as well as help others do the same. A team is at its best when everyone is firing on all cylinders. Another lesson that we're going to look at is empowering people. We will focus on coaching and mentoring others and keeping them engaged with the path that's ahead of them. One of the most helpful segments will be on maximizing conversations, taking our communication to a whole new depth, really. And one of the best tools for leading a group in a fierce conversation will help you understand what that means. It's not as intimidating as it sounds. It's just talking about a deep conversation, and we'll help you get there with a group. And the process is called slaying alligators. So we really got the battle theme going here this time.
Yeah, that's a fun one to see how to do this as a group. Wow.
Yeah.
Very effective.
And you can't talk about communication without talking about managing conflict.
Yeah.
So we will be looking at assessing, diffusing, and resolving conflict. This one will be really helpful to you because it's unfortunately unavoidable. As usual, we'll also devote a couple of segments to spiritual formation. So first, there is a lesson on the power of words, and specifically what the Bible teaches regarding our words. It's important to focus on this and realize the impact of what we say and own it.
Yeah.
Then we'll look at a unique coaching method called spiritual direction. And these are basically conversations that guide your soul. And so we'll dig into that a bit. So that's what's ahead of us.
So we got a lot to cover in this particular course. So we encourage you to get your curriculum up on your screen or on your desk so that you can follow along, because in our videos, we won't be covering everything. We would like to encourage you to read that curriculum and get the more information that's there. The other thing we want to encourage you to do is to connect on Slack and get the conversation going back and forth with people there, because it's in the dialogue of things that you really do integrate it. And Slack is a very helpful way to do that. Now, get ready for the next video. We're going to talk about the power of words.